What's going on, Raider Nation? It's your boy, Mikey Raider, coming to you live. I'm not live, but I'm in my hallway. That's right. This is the Indiana Jones mirror room. Because it's got mirrors on, like, pretty much everywhere. It freaks me out. I just wanted to say, I know I'm not wearing Raider gear, but I am wearing my Raider hat, trying to represent, trying to find that positivity for our team. But at first, I want to say, please consider becoming a member on this channel. Support your boy. I really need the help and the support. I'm trying to pay my bills. I'm struggling. I need you. I need you. I need you. Please pick up some merchandise. There is links to a merch store for my career and for some Raider-type inspired merchandise down below. And there's donations available if you feel like supporting. I get it in Venmo or PayPal, and I'll hit you up somehow. And I truly, truly appreciate it. What's going on in my world? Nothing much. I lie down, I have health issues, and I struggle to make content. I struggle to find positivity, and that's who I am. And I love you guys for accepting that. Let's just quickly talk about a couple of Raider topics that are the topic du jour of the day, if you will, from my perspective. And I'm trying not to go negative. Again, I'm very salty in my real life or in my own life. So with all the stuff that we see publicly from Josh McDaniels and the decisions that a lot of us don't understand, it's very easy for me to be salty at the team. But I'm trying to find the positivity. But if you're not positive in real life, it's hard to do it, in videos for everybody. But my good buddy Murph, who is creating a new fan cave, he does a lot of good work with the Raiders and other content creators, better than I do because I don't communicate properly. But he did a podcast, and something he said in there really resonated with me. And he said they were talking about negative content from the creators. And I'm not saying they were specifically talking about me, but maybe everybody that does, like drama or negative content. But Murph said it's easy to hate. It's easy to hate on the Raiders, McDaniels, and the team. But it's hard to love them. I can agree. Because I've been saying that in a lot of my videos. It's hard to be a Raiders fan. And it is easier for me to get on screen and yell and rant and rave and try to prove my points or the debacle or the clown show that it has been the Raiders. But it's harder to be passionate and present it in a good light. So I'm taking on that challenge. I wish my life in general was better or at a more positive place financially and so forth. That would help me be more positive about football. But I'm going to take on that challenge and try to be more positive. And I know I've said this before, and again, it's a constant struggle with me. That's why I love the statement. Sometimes people say I'm the most realist Raider YouTuber out there, and I appreciate that. I can only be who I am. And for people that don't like the negative content or this or that, I understand it. But at that moment in my life, that's who I am. And if you guys find some truth in some of the stuff I say, then thank you and kudos for you. But there's a lot of Raider content creators out there. And they're all doing better than I am with numbers, statistics, and positivity. And I ain't gonna lie, it hurts. It makes me feel jealous because I felt like I was on top. I was either on top or in the top range at one point. And it hurts to be taken down. But hey, that's reality. I got to accept it and just move forward. But like I said, listening to Murph talking about how it's hard to be a Raider fan, It's easy to hate on the Raiders. It's harder to love the Raiders. I'm going to try to do that moving forward. So, let's talk about a couple of players and the minicamp that just happened. So, we just had minicamp. It's mandatory. Players that did not arrive or didn't show up were, of course, Josh Jacobs. He hasn't signed the contract. So let's speak about Josh Jacobs. Again, I'm just going to give my quick 2 cents and we'll move forward. Josh Jacobs wants a contract long-term. The Raiders publicly say they want to give him a long-term contract. But apparently, I don't think they're talking. And they're going to make that happen. The Raiders hold all the power. They're giving him $10 million a year. They got really young running backs that can take over if he doesn't come back the next year. But they could also franchise tag Josh Jacobs a second year. I don't think Josh Jacobs will hold out. He will hold out 1,000% during training camp or in the beginning of training camp. And he might not arrive till the middle of training camp. But he'll definitely arrive before week 1. And, he's not going to give up $10 million. And the Raiders are just going to leave it as how it is. And for the running backs like Zamir White, what's the other guy's name? Brian Brennan or something like that. Forgive me. They're going to get a lot more reps. And that's going to be really good for them in the long term. And again, if they show any promise as they were drafted to do so, that'll also hurt Jacobs' value in the future. But does Josh Jacobs deserve a long-term contract? Yeah. And I don't know what long-term is for the Raiders. They seem to, over the course of the last 5 years, give out 2 or 3 years or extensions, and maybe a running back wants a 5-year deal, 4-year deal. Maybe that's what Josh wants, and the Raiders aren't going to give it to him. They're probably considering a long-term contract, 2 or 3 years for Josh Jacobs, and depending on how much money they want to give him guaranteed, Josh ain't going to do that. But they own the power. Josh Jacobs will be a holdout. He'll sign his franchise tag somewhere in the middle of training camp. And let's hope we have a good year from him. But the young players behind him are going to get a lot of work. Now, another issue that has creeped up, of course, the Jimmy Garoppolo issue. We don't need to talk about that. Now the media hype is for Aiden O'Connell. And then the stool pigeon, Hondo Carpenter, is now hyping up Brian Hoyer as the best looking at OTAs, and he's the best fit for the Raiders at this moment. They are good buddies. Brian Hoyer taught Hondo Carpenter's kids how to throw to throw a football. And Hondo Carpenter's the stool pigeon. He'll pick any player that suits the narrative for the Raiders. And if you notice, even in the press conferences for Josh McDaniels after minicamp, Hondo Carpenter is the first question always. He's the first reporter that gets to give a question. And then every time he's the first one to give the question, he always props up Josh McDaniels, the staff, or anybody else. Like the question he had at Josh McDaniels' minicamp press conference was, you and the staff are doing an excellent job of, getting the players up to speed as compared to last year in your system. So with you and the staff, how are you doing such a fantastic job? And what are the differences? You're doing a fantastic job when everybody publicly is watching going, what? You didn't know Jimmy G needed surgery? What? It's kind of annoying, kind of ridiculous. But that being said, that's the situation with Josh Jacobs. And another player that didn't show up was Tyree Willis, the defensive first-round edge rusher that we signed. He has a foot injury. And again, the Raiders are going into the season with probably their biggest needs or their biggest leadership roles, starting it with injured players that are not even going to be there for early OTAs or maybe the entire training camp. Sounds like a recipe for a disaster. Then we got the Hunter Renfrow situation. Again, he's showing up to OTAs. He's practicing. They love him, to be there. But he will be traded. They got so many wide receivers. They brought in so many players that could play that position. And there's some sort of a money thing where even though they're going to have a dead cap hit, if teams get injuries during training camp or before the trade deadline, Hunter Renfrow is a value. Again, not a high value, but they could get a 3rd-round pick for him at best. They'll probably get a 4th. But he will be traded. And again, people don't believe me, want to be mad at that statement, but it's going to happen. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And there's been smoke throughout the draft, even after the draft, through minicamp so far. Where there's smoke, there's fire. That means teams have been called about him or this or that, and they just haven't done it officially. So, I don't know if it's breaking news, but Hunter Renfrow will be traded. And it'll happen before the trade deadline. Maybe based on injuries during training camp as well. When players are going down, wide receivers get injured in camp or in the preseason, Hunter Renfrow will be traded. So maybe I'll title the video that Hunter Renfrow will be traded. That being said, the media is, of course, going to prop up certain players in the offseason like they're doing with Aiden O'Connell. Again, now everybody's on the Aiden O'Connell train. As I made a video the other day, I said I would love Aiden O'Connell to be the starter and to be thrown into the fire. I don't know if it'll work, but I'm rooting for the kid. But he's like one of the only best options we have. But if the Raiders are going in the system of Josh McDaniels and Jimmy Garoppolo is not available, which they say he will be, then Brian Hoyer should start to win a few games. But if you're looking long term, if you really want to find out what a rookie quarterback has, start him. Throw him into the fire. Then if he doesn't pan out and we still got the Jimmy G issue lingering, then we can get a high draft pick next year and draft another quarterback and try again. But Aiden O'Connell is the flavor. Raider Nation, the public, the media is starting to talk about him to prop him up because he's one of the only options post the Jimmy Garoppolo issue that's going on. And if I had to bet on who would be the starter week 1, I'm going to say the starter week 1 will be Jimmy Garoppolo. But will he play good and will he get injured early in the season? Coming off of that injury and the surgery that they call just a cleanup? I don't know. But if somebody shows you who they are and he's only had one good year where he was never injured, yeah, probably he'll start. How long will he play? So I think it'll be Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, the other players that they're talking up is Divine Diablo. Apparently, he got the green sticker as the linebacker. And he's going to be leading the team now in his 2nd year. And I got to go into more details with some of the other players in a future video. But for now, that's the rumblings out of minicamp and the media push. And it's minicamp. I mean, even though it's mandatory, they ain't doing much. They're not in pads. They're basically in shorts, just installing the system to the young players, and the veterans are trying to catch up with everything they learned last year. So they're just installing, and they're in shorts. So everybody will look good in shorts until they put on 20 pounds of pads, and then they start getting physical. And the summer is approaching in Vegas, so the heat is going to get worse. But for now, Aiden O'Connell looks good. Brian Hoyer looks good. I haven't heard any rumblings about any wide receivers yet. That'll be next week. Divine Diablo looks good. We'll see who they throw at us next. But that being said, there is a lot of little things going on with the Raiders. The NFL media machine posted a win-loss schedule scenario the other day. You can find it on Wi-Fi Willie's channel as well. But they predicted the Raiders going 0-10 out of their first 10 games. Literally, loss. I don't think the Raiders will go 0-10. It will be a slow start. And they had the Raiders going 4-13. I think in my positive prediction, I had the Raiders going 9-7 or 9-8. And then in my realistic prediction, I think I had the Raiders winning 6 games. Something like that, or 5 games. You can watch that video on my channel. Just click videos. That being said, I just want to say thank you, Raider Nation. I love you guys. Thank you for the faith. And let's try to find that positivity. I'm going to make some more videos in the future. I'm going to go live hopefully every Friday night moving forward. Try to put together some segments where we go over the roster. We talk about players. And I'm still working on trying to do the Raider clips, you know, with the news coverage and all that. But YouTube ain't no joke anymore. You used to be able to get away with putting some of the news clips if you cut them up and edited them. I'm shadow banned. I'm shadow banned on YouTube. Like, let's get that right. Almost every video I do, whether it's good or bad, doesn't get a lot of views. And I think with the word Raider Central or Mikey Raider, because of my other channels or whatever, I'm shadow banned. And I don't get in the algorithm. I don't get propped up. You know, like I'll write a certain video. Let's say I'll call it maybe this one. Hunter Renfrow will be traded. Raiders Hunter Renfrow will be traded. And that'll be the title of my video. So I'll post a video like that. Then I'll go to the search button on YouTube and I'll write the exact title the way I wrote it. Hunter Renfrow will be traded. Then 95% of the time, there's many other Raider videos, maybe not even about Hunter Renfrow, that'll pop up. And then I'll go down to the pages or the list, and I'm like 40th or 50th on the list for the exact title of the same video I'm doing. So how am I going to get views if people search Hunter Renfrow Raiders and I'm like 80th on the list? They're not going to find me. So that being said, that's what hurts a lot. But for everybody else, they're doing big things, and I respect you all and I love you all. And I'm trying to come out of my shell, trying to find the passion. My foot has been hurting. I hurt my foot really badly about 2 weeks ago. So, trying to come back from it. I love you, Raider Nation. Let me know if there's any certain topic or player you want me to talk about in a separate video in the days ahead. Let me know down below. Hit that like, that subscribe button. Consider becoming a member. Any donations or support, thank you. I appreciate you. I love you. Pick up some merchandise. There is some available down below. Love you guys. Let's go, Raiders.